Hey there, Amanda Trudell here. 2 months post-back surgery. I meant to do this follow-up video a while ago, but this being my first ever surgery, I didn't realize how much work recovery is. Lots of naps. In my previous video, Herniated Disc 101, I shared advice and lessons that I had learned the hard way over many months with a herniated disc. At that point, my insurance company deemed surgery was not medically necessary. They refused to accept the conservative methods used to treat my herniation as adequate, not to mention ignoring the recommendation from several doctors. They insisted that I needed to do 6 weeks of physical therapy. I realized I needed to change my approach. Being tough was not helping my situation, and increasingly not even an option as my health worsened. And seriously, I had lost almost 10% of my normal body weight because of this condition. It was also clear that I needed to turn up the volume, so to speak, on how I was advocating for myself as I navigated the insurance and medical process. The week I got denied for surgery in September, I immediately went to physical therapy. 1, to start the process if that was truly my fate, and 2, to take the evaluation to the insurance company so they would know this was fruitless. Insurance refused to take it. Desperate, I tried so many avenues to end my continued suffering. I reached out to our employee benefits specialist in HR, who tried really hard to help me, but to no avail. Supposedly, our company's employee insurance plan being self-funded is a good thing, yet somehow my company ended up powerless in this situation. I couldn't even go to my state's insurance commission because self-funded companies are out of their jurisdiction. I asked my chiropractors to provide documentation of my previous conservative treatments, including a letter on my behalf proving I had practiced stretches and PT exercises while under their care. I hopped on social media to beg my case with the insurance company. They dug in their heels with a seemingly apathetic no. Even the surgeon's office said, "You're just going to have to do the PT." My insurance company literally had all the power. I also sought out counseling sessions from our employee assistance program to benchmark my mental health. I was not okay, and I wanted it documented. I took document everything to a whole nother level. I had also avoided taking drugs for my condition because addiction has been a challenge for some of my family members, and I just still wanted to be able to function. Plus, I thought there was an end in sight, so why take them? Phase 2 meant I had to start taking the drugs my primary care had given me for my pain management. The physical therapy was increasing my pain, and I simply had to. I kept a log of the medications I was taking and when, because between the pain and the medications, my mind was slipping and I just couldn't keep track. I also kept a pain journal using voice to text on my phone, and let me tell you, it felt so dramatic, but I didn't have capacity to physically write it out, nor remember what was happening day to day. I emailed this to my physical therapist each day, so they had a full understanding of the pain that I was enduring, and let me tell you, it was bad. Basically, I was not rewarded for trying to be tough, so I had to throw in the towel. I quit driving and I worked remotely full-time. This meant I could take the drugs as needed to manage the pain as well as be able to lay down for a large portion of the day since I couldn't sit. I could feel the physical weakness setting in, but these decisions were for safety and to lessen stress. By this point, my right side was going numb too, and I was definitely not safe to be on the road. Not one to give up easy, I dug deeper for any loopholes to really figure out why I was denied. Let me tell you, I was in a lot of pain, but I can make phone calls laying down in bed. Insurance customer service, the surgeon's office, my pre-authorization case manager through the hospital, lawyers, I called everyone I could think of and multiple times. I was relentless, and I swear those people knew my caller ID. In the end, I got a copy of the clinical policy bulletin for spinal surgery from my insurance company, so I knew exactly what I was being judged against. I also educated myself on the appeal process and got it in writing. My policy had a 2-level appeal process, meaning if I got denied 2 more times, I would have to wait 6 months before I could appeal again for this case. I also learned that, at this point, insurance would only allow for an appeal if I was discharged from physical therapy. During all of this, I was going to PT, which meant I needed a driver, and I'm so blessed I have friends willing and able to help. I followed all directions of the physical therapist and was very vocal about my pain, my limited abilities, and how it was affecting my life, holding nothing back. Being tough in this case doesn't help, remember? My physical therapist was awesome in handling my case physically, emotionally, and we'll say politically. I learned that he could discharge me earlier than 6 weeks. He was reluctant to do so because of the risk of insurance rejecting me again, but I had learned I had 2 chances to appeal, and I was getting worse. At the close of 3 weeks in PT, I urged him to do something. We landed on writing the need for an appeal without official release from physical therapy due to insurance requirement, and I would continue to be seen while insurance reviewed my case again. I worked with my pre-authorization person to submit for an expedited appeal. I also learned that this hospital offered a 50% discount for this surgery if you don't go through insurance and just pay for it directly. 50%! That's messed up! But boy, I can see why. My request for an expedited appeal was denied because waiting wouldn't result in loss of life. The good news is I was approved for surgery a few days later on October 11th, and I only found out about that approval as soon as I did because I had asked my employee benefits specialist to check in on it for me. Regardless, thank you, Jesus. Of course, at this point, I was not going to let the system take over and move me through at their pace. I was aggressive, although polite, working with the surgeon's office on next steps and getting scheduled. They squeezed me in on October 26th. The next available date was not until December 14. I didn't even go the full 6 weeks in physical therapy. If I wouldn't have fought as hard as I did, there's no way I would have gotten in by the end of the year, and I wouldn't be 2 months post-surgery now. 2 months! And don't even get me started on my deductible restarting on January 1. Back to the main event. My fighting had finally paid off. My mom flew in to help out and took me in for my long-awaited back surgery on October 26th. It was the easiest part. I had a microdiscectomy, which is where they make a less than 2-inch incision in my back and use a microscope to navigate into the herniated area of the spine and trim off the bad disc. Remember the panic attack I had getting my epidural? I was so ready for this surgery that I literally walked into the operating room myself and climbed onto the table. And let me tell you, man, I can rock a paper gown. The surgery itself only took an hour and a half, and I was in recovery longer than I was under the knife. I didn't even have stitches. They just glued me back together, and I walked out of the hospital that afternoon. All of that hell for something so simple.
She's out of surgery and awake. What do you gotta say?
I'm gonna make it. That was the best surgical experience I've ever had. Seriously though, while I wish I didn't have to do it, surgery was a godsend. I might have had other opinions if I was up against a fusion at this point in my life, but this was the least invasive back surgery for my case, with a great surgeon and medical team that put me on a path to finally healing. For me, the change was immediate. The decrease in pain was like going from getting struck by a lightning bolt to a bee sting. My mom couldn't believe the difference over one night. I had color in my cheeks and a sparkle in my eyes again, and that was reassuring to hear. She stayed with me for a week, so I had 24-hour care, and then my sister and friends rotated in for the next week to get me through the worst of it, which really wasn't that bad. No driving for 2 weeks. I slept a lot, and bed heighteners helped to get me in and out of bed. I could finally sit, which was cool. I was told to take it super easy, and I was encouraged to get up and move around and walk at least once an hour during waking hours. And I felt better, but my patience was so tested. I wanted to be normal again, but I was hyper aware that I had to go slow because I did not want to risk reherniating my back. My jaw dropped when the surgeon said no bending, lifting, or twisting for 3 to 4 months. Right? Get used to asking for help. After all I've been through, though, what's a few more months of preventing damage to the soft tissue? It was explained to me that my back is like a plaster wall. The surface will become solid pretty quick. However, the inside is still damp and soft. It just takes longer to harden up and become strong again. So, get an ice machine to do lots of icing and give it time to heal. Speaking of time, I would advise anyone in my shoes to take advantage of your short-term disability benefits if you have them. Don't rush back into work. Take your time and allow yourself to heal without all that stress. They are your benefits and you've earned them. Use them and make the most of your opportunity to nap as needed while you recover. I also use this time on short term to really focus on getting my body strong again with physical therapy. This time, I felt it was worth it. I met my surgeon 1 month post-surgery and he wrote a script for me. He doesn't normally prescribe physical therapy post-surgery, just rest. However, I insisted. I had lost a lot of body mass, and with how active I am, I wanted a professional's regimen to literally get me back on my feet without hurting myself. I will tell you, I made great strides in 1 month with physical therapy, all while adhering to surgeon's restrictions. Lots of isometric core. I had also met my out-of-pocket maximum, so it financially made sense to make the time and do it. A few other things in recovery I'll note is that I got off the drugs as soon as I could, minus ibuprofen. I did go through some withdrawals, hot and cold flashes, sweating, all-around discomfort, and let me tell you, being backed up sucks. Manage your pain, just don't go overboard. I also got post-op blood work again to check my liver because my pre-op blood work had shown it had taken a beating from all the meds. I'm back to normal now there, thank goodness. I also experienced insomnia for a brief time during recovery. In the moment, it felt like forever. Melatonin helped, but I think PT was the key to working my body out in the right ways and feeling like I had accomplished something. Finally, good emotional and mental health can sure accelerate the healing process. If you know of someone going through a tough time, cards, dinners, or a simple text really go a long way. I'm what one might call an extreme extrovert, and having to be stuck at home with little human interaction is kind of torture. Thankfully, I'm blessed with many beautiful, caring people in my life. I was overwhelmed with so much love, from lunch visits and flowers from Grandma to knowing my horse was well taken care of and a box of smiles from my coworkers. After going through this, I'll extend a hand whenever I can because it really does matter. I still have healing to go and restrictions to abide by, but I'll be back to riding Oliver in no time. This chapter of hell is coming to a close, and a new adventure is ahead. I've learned of many more people than myself getting screwed around with our medical system. If you're one of them, my biggest takeaway is still, no one will care about your health as much as you do. You have to advocate for yourself. And from personal experience, it's a lot of freaking work, but it's absolutely necessary. I don't blame the insurance reps or medical staff for my terrible journey either. The American health system as a whole sucks. Again, no one cares about your health as much as you do. Advocate for yourself and fight, because better days are ahead. And if you've made it this far in the video, good golly! Thank you for watching, and I wish you well.